What's up, guys? Welcome to the Stats Street Sports channel. Here to give you my takeaways from the Chiefs versus Lions matchup last night. Let's talk about it. Last night's game was pretty solid. I watched every second of it. Chiefs versus Lions. Lions defeat the Chiefs 21-0. And right now, my week one picks, that video will be popping up right here in the right-hand corner. I'm 1-0. I did pick the Lions to beat the Chiefs. All my picks are public, so I'm 1-0 right now. Hopefully, I can go undefeated for my first week. Pretty doubtful, how things happen, but I was very confident, even prior. And I think my video came out prior to Kelsey's injury, or in the midst of it. But I was pretty confident with or without Kelsey, the Lions would win this matchup. I just thought it just felt right for me. But let's talk about it, guys. Takeaways. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs first, and my first takeaway is I was right. I was right. I did a video this summer, and I did a prediction video. I ended up being wrong on it, but I was right, and it should have happened. The Chiefs should have traded, or they should have signed DeAndre Hopkins. I did a video, I believe, in March or April, and I was kind of early on this. I'm like, man, if Hopkins is going to be moved, the Chiefs should be the team to do it. They don't have. I don't believe in Tony. I never really did. He's a good gadget guy. The idea of him is good, but off the field, he's kind of a nuisance from what we've seen so far. His beef with the Giants fans, it's not too serious, but still, And also on the field, he hasn't really proven much. So it's like I don't believe in Tony, and then you're telling me, okay, Justin Ross is going to be the guy. You're telling me Rice is going to be the guy. You're telling me Sky Moore, who was non-existent last night, is going to be the guy. You're telling me Justin Watson is going to be the guy. It's not going to happen. So for me, I think the first point is I was right. They should have brought in DeAndre Hopkins via trade or via signing him. And it was perfect timing yesterday as well, because Hopkins came out and he called out 4 teams that should have signed him. Even though he didn't name the Chiefs, the Chiefs should have been the first one that he named out his mouth. They needed him badly, and even with Kelsey, even when Kelsey is there, if a team can take away Kelsey and you have a moment like last night, the Chiefs cannot win. Plain and simple. I know they'll find a way to squeak out some games here and there, but to win it all, you're gonna have to play those big teams in tight games. And I just think if you can somehow ball up Kelsey, which it's tough to do, but it is possible, you're gonna have to be beaten by MVS, by Sky Moore, by Watson, by Tony. And last night, only one game, only week one, but last night they showed they couldn't beat you without Kelsey. So that's my main point there. Another point is that defense looked good for the Kansas City Chiefs. They didn't really need Chris Jones last night. Nick Bolton, the other D tackle, the small D tackle, not small, but the smaller guy with the dreads. I forgot his name now. Sorry about that, but he was fantastic. He bowled over David Montgomery trying to pass block. That defense was pretty solid. Trent McDuffie, the corner playing slot now, last year's draft pick, I believe, late first, early second. He was solid. He's coming into his own. And like the broadcast said, I kind of do agree with Chris Collinsworth. Uh, McDuffie shouldn't be the slot guy. They need to bring in someone else in that slot. But for right now, I guess he'll do. And he'll get more comfortable there. He'll get more game rep there, and he'll improve there as well. But I think they need a more traditional slot guy. I like McDuffie more on the outside for me personally. But overall, the defense was pretty good. Another point, a third point for the Chiefs, and probably the last one, not really too much to talk about here, was the O-line. You look at it, there are 2 new tackles, Donovan Smith, formerly of the Buccaneers, and you have Jawan Taylor, formerly of the Jaguars. Both guys held up pretty well. I thought, for me, and I don't know what other people saw on social media, but people are saying Hutchinson kind of worked Jawan Taylor last night. I think it's opposite. I think Taylor, he didn't lock Hutchinson up, but he did a pretty good job on him. He really did. Now, with Jawan Taylor going viral about him him false starting and all that stuff, that's a little tricky. He's really tight on the rules. Because the rules state no movement, no this, no that, but he's right on the cusp of it. So it's kind of weird. But he did get a couple head starts in my personal opinion. Some people saying the timing was spot on. I think the time was a little bit early. But as far as him and Hutchinson going on one, I thought he did pretty well. I didn't see Hutchinson win too much. Now Hutchinson is very active, but he didn't do too much to me. So for me, as a former defensive tackle, I was like, okay, Hutchinson is getting pressure. He's a nonstop motor, but is he really doing something? I didn't really think so. So I think the O line, the two O tackles, especially those two guys held up, but they did have some weak moments. And when Hutchinson did get moved on to Donovan Smith, he did work Smith though a couple times. He definitely did work Smith. I've seen that the dip rip, the spins, the power. That young boy definitely worked old man Donovan Smith on that left tackle spot. But I think Juwan Taylor, for the most part, held up pretty good versus Hutchinson. And that's really it for the Chiefs. Not too much there. I said they're missing their top two guys. So they're missing Kelsey, they're missing Jones. If those two guys would have played, I would definitely lean towards the Chiefs. But for me, like I say, even if Kelsey played, I would have liked the Chiefs, the Lions still, but it would have been super tough. And this one was tough as well. So going to the Detroit Lions takeaways, good performance. First, I want to say my first point is Jared Goff. For me, seeing him with the Rams and having an up and down career there, going to the Lions, playing well there the first 2 years. Now this year, well, no, last year, playing well last year. Now this year, I wanted to see how he came out versus a big time game one, and he was good. He wasn't phenomenal. He wasn't great, and I think they need more weapons too. But he was definitely good enough to win his game. He didn't really hurt the Lions at all. I think the play calling hurt more than anything else, as far as some of those screen plays, trying to screen to Marvin Jones and trying to screen to what's the other guy's name? Marvin Jones or someone else. I'm like, why are y'all doing them screen plays? Just go, just run routes, But other than that, Jared Goff played pretty well. He's pretty solid, and if you build a team around him, Goff can definitely make things happen. So I do like Jared Goff there. Another point, that O line for the Lions were phenomenal. Held up at best as they could. Spagnola and that Chiefs team was bringing pressure, and that line held up. They bend, but it didn't break. I really like the O-line led by Penei Sewell at the right tackle spot. Great O-line job. That O-line is and the Chiefs O-line as well. Not too much pressures, not too many sacks. I don't. Was there even a sack last night? Maybe one or two sacks last night, but not too many. I know the Lions snatched up Mahomes a couple times, but couldn't really bring him down. And then Goff, I don't recall him getting sacked. I'm not looking at the stats at all, but I kind of know him by heart now. But I don't think he got sacked. Maybe once. But yeah, the Chiefs brought pressure. The O line held up pretty good. Now on to some negative. My next point, my third point for the Lions: get Jameer Gibbs the ball more. Plain and simple. Give him the ball more. One, because he's on my fantasy team. and my opponent had Amon St. Brown last night, and I'm kind of in trouble. But it's still early, only week one, only game one, so there's more games left to play. But give him the ball, one, for my fantasy, and also two, he needs the ball more. Plain and simple. Montgomery wasn't really doing too much on the ground. Had a decent game, had some tough runs, kept the chains moving in certain points, but Gibbs is a game breaker. And I know you don't want to use all your stuff and show your entire hand game one, but I think Gibbs should have got the ball a little bit more than what he actually did. The first time he ran the ball, the second time around the 10-yard line when he stumbled, he could have scored. I think if he would have bounced it outside, I think he probably would have scored or been very close. So overall, Gibbs looked pretty solid. We saw a little smidget of what we're going to get for the rest of the season, and I'm super excited for it. So the Alvin Kamara comparisons are pretty spot on. He look even a little faster than Kamara in my opinion, but it is close. But yeah, the Kamara's comparisons are pretty spot on for Jameer Gibbs. Now on to another point. You can kind of throw this in with Gibbs as well. Amon St. Brown was phenomenal. You cannot guard him one on one. You gotta play zone. You have to double. You have to shake something. You gotta do something to get Amron off his game. He is a stud, plain and simple. And to me, he kind of came out of nowhere. Last year, people were telling me about him, and I heard the name. I've seen him play before, but he's phenomenal, and he's definitely carrying on from last year's momentum to this year. Hopefully, he can stay healthy. He had a little injury bug last year. Was banged up and missed a couple games here and there. Hopefully, this year stays fully healthy and goes all the way out and balls out all year. So one-on-one, he's tough to stop. Defensively wise, another point. The fifth point for the Lions, defense is definitely improved, but they need a elite pass rusher. Right now, Hutchinson is not that. Was it Jawan Taylor? Is it Hutchinson? I'm not quite sure. But if Hutchinson is your best pass rusher, I think the Lions might be in a little trouble as far as defense goes. The defense did get better. The coverage did get better. Adding Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, adding my favorite player in last year's draft, in this past year's draft, and Brian Branch, who scored a touchdown, natural ball hawk. I did a video on him prior to the draft. Like I said, the Lions drafted my favorite two players in this past draft, in Jahmyr Gibbs and Brian Branch. So, I'm not a Lions fan, but I definitely love what they did. Also, another point, the tight end, well, another point separately, their entire rookies, all their rookies. Jack Campbell, the linebacker, Sam Laporta, the tight end, Brian Branch, Jahmyr Gibbs. That's how you draft. All four of those players should be around the Lions for at least the next 5 years. All of them should be starting. No question about it. All those four guys are studs. Not studs, I didn't say studs, but all are very good. I think you have two studs in Branch and Gibbs, and you have two certified starters in Campbell, and who else? Oh, and Sam Laporta. Or someone at least in the tight end rotation that you can definitely trust. So those rookies, man, are definitely nice. That's how you draft. And low key, it's not even low key, it's high key. The Lions have been drafting good the last couple of years. I've said this too. The Lions been drafting good the last 2 or 3 years. They haven't really missed on some of their top picks. So, and as I said before, Jameson Williams, he was my favorite pick of the last. He was my favorite player from the from 2 years ago draft. So they've been drafting up all my favorite players. I might have to switch to a Lions fan, jokingly. I'm just joking, but I love my Falcons. But it seemed like every time I make a statement saying they're my favorite guy, Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, Brian Branch, they end up on the Lions. So that is interesting. That means the Lions are kind of on the same page. I wanted my Falcons to at least draft. I didn't really see us getting Branch, but I did want us to either get Gibbs or get Williamson in the last year's draft. Didn't happen. We got Bijan instead, which I'm happy about, and we got Drake London instead, which I'm pretty happy about too. Especially now seeing the suspension that Williamson is going through. But as far as the actual play on the field, I think Gibbs is going to be a stud. I think Branch is going to be a stud, and Campbell and Laporta, along with you can kind of count Williams as a rookie. He kind of missed last year via injury, came back late towards the season. And now, as I said, he's missing the first 6 games from this season for suspension. So it's kind of still in rookie mode. So, you would throw him into their rookie class too. That's a heck of a rookie, a heck of a young core for this Lions team. Now, would they have the money to pay all these guys long term? We'll see. But as of right now, they're definitely a young, exciting team. And they definitely came out with a good win last night. So overall, those are my takes. Only 3 for the defending champs. They don't really need too much. Just a good outing. Disappointing their receivers. As I said, Sky Moore and Tony were like horrendous, and it wasn't really Moore per se. Just he couldn't get the ball. He couldn't He had the most snaps of the Chiefs wide receivers, but he just couldn't. The ball just couldn't find his way. And as far as Tony goes, geez Louise, that was a terrible game. Like all the way around, to the route running, to the hands, to the miscommunication, to the blown up plays. They tried to get him to sweep a couple times. Down one, I remember one down by the goal line, and another one later on during the game, and none of it worked. The Lions sniffed all of it out. So it's like, man, and he also calls the touchdown for the Lions, the interception return for a touchdown. So it's like, man, he had it rough last night. So hopefully he can bounce back. Hopefully the Chiefs still believe in him. But me personally, I think they should have went for the more veteran route in a guy like Hopkins. So I would expect them to be in the running for a guy like Mike Evans this trade deadline season. So that's it for video, guys. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys next time.